If you're looking to create a new website or refresh or redesign an existing one, part of the process likely is going to be hiring a new website designer or developer. In this video, we're going to give you some easy tips and tricks to make sure you're finding the right fit. When it comes to hiring a web designer or developer, some of the key things to ask and look for can be boiled down to three basic buckets. First, can they, the freelancer or agency, do the work? Do they have the right skills and background to get the job done effectively? Number two, can you come to terms as far as pricing and budget? And then third, do they seem like a good fit? Now let's dive into those in a little more detail. So to start out, one of the first things we want to look for is, does the web designer or developer have the right skills to do the work you need help with? The first thing to look for is check out their website. Ideally, the designer or developer you're considering has a portfolio online that's going to show some examples of work they've done. It's a red flag if they don't have any examples, obviously, because you want somebody who's done enough work and good enough work that they can display that publicly as well. What you're looking for now when you're going through the portfolio is examples that resonate with you. Hopefully you're going to find examples of similar work, similar websites that are good quality, they look really nice, they're easy to navigate, they load fast, they basically have something that you'd be proud of. Something to keep in mind too is the overall style. Now when it comes to building a website, if you've got the basic ability to put different components together, lay out a website, you can create different types and styles. But one thing to look for is, what's the vibe or aesthetic or overall look and feel you want to have with your website. And you want to check that versus the team or individual you're considering. Does their style match what you're going for? So for example, if you've got a company that's kind of conservative, works in an industry like healthcare or finance, for example, and you want a website that's clean, professional, polished, elegant, and the person you're considering, for example, their style is more whimsical, artsy, fairy tale-ish, maybe that's not a really good fit. It's not that that person couldn't do the work you need. It might just not be the best fit to efficiently get from point A to point B as far as what you're looking for. Now, when it comes to features and functionality, something to be mindful of too is, what features or bells and whistles do you want on your website? If, for example, you need e-commerce, you want to make sure that the company you're looking at or the developer you're looking at has skills developing e-commerce or membership sites or healthcare patient databases, whatever that is. Now, a common question or common topic that comes up in our line of work is people looking for specific examples. So if we've got a client who maybe has a shoe store and they come to us and say, hey, have you developed websites for shoe companies? It depends what they're looking for and if that's necessary or not. So my advice as far as trying to find a specialist versus a generalist, if you work in an industry that's highly regulated, such as healthcare or finance, insurance, things like that, it probably is good to work with a developer that has experience in that realm, because there are going to be certain requirements as far as privacy or disclosures or things like that that you definitely don't want to miss. Or if you're an e-commerce store or a retailer, or you need a patient database or some sort of specific something beyond just a brochure site, beyond just images, text, kind of basic web pages, you definitely want to look for someone with that skill set. But that being said, if what you're looking for is a more general, what's called brochure style website, where it's just kind of a landing page and maybe an about page or a contact page, things like that, as long as the designer and developer you're considering can knock out websites with similar functionality and a kind of aesthetic that gives you confidence that they could create a website for you that looks the way you want, it probably doesn't matter if, for example, you're a consultant that deals with oil companies and they haven't developed a website for that specific niche. As long as they are able to put together similar kind of analogous websites, that's usually what you're going to need and what you're going to want to look for. Now, something else tech-wise to look for when you're reviewing the portfolio of a potential designer or developer. If you've seen other videos we've done at Buddy, you know that one thing we talk about a lot is mobile responsiveness, and that's making sure that the website looks good and functions correctly on desktops as well as tablets, phones, or other devices as well. It's super, super important, not just for user experience, but also because Google and other search engines prioritize that when they put together search result rankings. So if you want your website to be found, you've got to make sure it's mobile responsive. So as you're considering a developer or designer and looking through their examples, make sure you check out their portfolio and their example websites, not just on your laptop or on your desktop monitor, but check out those sites on your phone or on a tablet as well, just to make sure. When it comes time to have a phone conversation or a video conversation or basically interview potential companies or developers you're considering working with, you definitely want to ask about their relevant experience, talk about what you're looking for, and have them articulate to you what things they've developed that are really similar. You're also going to want to learn about what platforms do they build on. Like, do they build right in the code using HTML and CSS? Do they use a content management system like WordPress or Weebly or Wix? Do they use something for e-commerce like Shopify or WooCommerce? And what you really want to gather from them is, are they going to build you a website that is easy for you to use down the road? Or if they're building something super custom, it's a red flag to be aware of. Are you going to be locked in to work through that developer specifically for every little update? Because there are times where, granted, even if you're busy or not tech savvy, you don't necessarily want to take on any website updates by yourself. But that being said, you should definitely have the ability to go in and easily and quickly change text, change images, do basic updates like that without having to wait or pay the cost to go through that developer to make those really simple changes for you. Now, another red flag to look for is if you're interviewing or considering developers or designers and you talk about what their skill sets are and they say something really broad like, we can develop anything, or if you can think it, we can do it. That's great. But that being said, to get the best bang for the buck, you want some sort of specialization. Like, are they really good at WordPress, for example? Do they specialize in e-commerce? Do they specialize in really fast loading sites that are kind of minimalistic, stripped down, but they have really good page speed? If someone says they can build anything, maybe that's feasible. But even for really robust, large, advanced developer teams, they still have their skill sets, certain languages they use, certain what are called stacks they build in. So if someone says they can build anything, just have some caution and make sure you're really verified. They have some examples they can show you of something really similar to what you're looking for as well. Now, once you've identified a developer or several developers or agencies that you think have the skill set to do what you want to have done for your website, it's then second time to figure out, are they in the right ballpark as far as pricing and timelines? Now, you've probably heard the analogy, if you've been in business, of the three-legged stool, those three legs being quality, price, and speed. And the saying is, pick two, you can't have all three. You can't have high quality work done fast at a cheap price. And that's totally true in the web development space as well. So if you're looking for a really budget option, what's going to happen probably is you're going to have developers you'll find, usually freelancers, that are going to say they compete on having really cheap, really fast work, where they say, I'll build it for you in a day, in a week, for a couple $100, things like that. But what's going to happen, and I don't mean to generalize, but a lot of times what happens to drive those prices down is they're using templates, maybe outsourcing overseas. Those are all real viable options, but it's hard to build a really robust, really custom, really polished and thoroughly tested site really fast and really cheap as well. So just be aware of that. It's a matter of what you're comfortable with and really talking to those developers, looking at reviews, testimonials, things like that, getting a sense of the work they've done to really say, hey, is there a good fit here as far as the quality of work that this team does? And is the pricing and timelines really appropriate based on what you're hearing and what your needs are? Last, the third bucket of things to think about or consider when you're hiring a web developer or designer. You've seen ideally that they've got a good fit as far as their skill set. They can do the work. they're in the right price range, and the timelines make sense, the last thing is really that gut check. Do they seem like a good fit? Now, building a website or refreshing or redesigning a website is a collaborative process. You both really got to work together. So really ask yourself, does this person or does this team seem like someone that you can work with for a few weeks or a few months? Do they have good communication? Are they organized? Are they trustworthy? Do they really seem like they have their act together as someone that will make the process for you easy rather than stressful? And if you're not quite sure, ask some more questions, talk to some other folks, review testimonials. If somebody has some reviews online that maybe aren't stellar, definitely ask about those as far as what happened in the scenario, what they learned from it, those kind of things as well, typical interview questions. But really, end of the day, don't underestimate how important that fit is. Even if you need a site really fast, really cheap, if there's sort of a red flag or gut feeling where you're not quite sure, make sure you really pause and think about what are the pros and cons and reservations you're having, and really try to address those as well, because it is a partnership, not just for building the website, but once it's live as well. Do you trust and feel confident in that person and team to help with any bugs, with any updates? Will it be a long-term relationship with someone you can work with and have faith in, not just for the build, but for the entire life of your website as well? Now, granted, there's an infinite amount of different things you can consider and look for, but those are some quick tips on 3 basic buckets of things to look for, things to ask when trying to hire and select a web developer and designer. Now, of course, if you're at a point where you're looking for help, you can always reach out to our team at Buddy Web Design and Development. No pressure, no obligation. We're very happy to chat and see if we can be a resource for you and maybe a good fit to help out with your project. If you'd like to learn more about our company and our team, you can visit our website at buddywdd.com. And if you'd like to start a conversation, you can just click on the button in the upper right-hand corner, answer a couple of quick basic questions, and get the conversation started. So as always, hope this is helpful. Thanks for watching, and talk to you again real soon.